Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So I don't know if you know are familiar with Tai Lopez, but he ran these ads in 2015 called "Here in My Garage," where he basically films himself casually pointing to a Lamborghini he bought and so, oh yeah, yeah, you know what's more important than this knowledge, right? So I think I'm gonna do that and copy that for today's video and possibly in future other videos. But if you don't know what he's like, oh, here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. It's fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills, but you know what I like more than materialistic things? Knowledge, right? And I'm just gonna do the same thing. Oh yeah, here in my room in front of my computer. I'm just looking at this paid off mortgage here, and it's fun to hang out in a paid off house in Georgia. But you know what's more important than a paid off house? Or you know what I like more than a paid off house? Knowledge, right? And this is just going to be a segue to Renatus and what I learned from there. So believe it or not, you might be wondering, where did I learn all this stuff from? Velocity banking, real estate stuff. Look at this, self-directed IRA, negotiations, understanding credit, tax and legal, real estate foundations, and a whole bunch of other good stuff that got it got cut off from the picture. Well, I learned it from Renatus, right? And so this whole YouTube channel is kind of like a segue or funnel to Renatus products that I sell in order to get a commission. But again, I wanted to spread the word about where I learned velocity banking. And so this is what happens with a lot of people, right? And people tell me this all the time. Well, I had debt and then I paid it off, and then I just got into debt again. So don't you want to learn other things? Maybe buying properties at a discount, understanding credit so that you can possibly increase your credit base, tax and legal, so you may possibly save on taxes and be able to protect your assets and learn a little bit more. Well, that's why I always advertise Renatus. I'm sorry, I'm spitting all over the place in every single video that I make, because you know what's better off than a paid off house, just like Tai Lopez says? Knowledge, right? But don't worry, because every single time I talk about Renatus, we always like to talk also about, just one little section of Renatus called velocity banking. So we're just going to go ahead and do another velocity banking review today. So what is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy using a line of credit as your main operating account. And in today's scenario, it's just going to be really simple, where we have only one, two, three, four debts, two credit cards, an auto loan, and a mortgage, right? And in order to do velocity banking, only two things are needed. Number one is a budget. Number two is a line of credit as your main operating account. So what's a line of credit? All it is a financial tool where you can borrow money, pay it back, and use it over and over again. That's all a line of credit is. And a credit card's a type of line of credit, but there's also personal and home equity lines of credit, right? So if you take a look here, and let me scroll up here, these are some of lines of credit that I have access to. 15 grand personal right here. Ooh, look at this, 280 home equity. That's a spicy meatball, right? And so again, I go to the bank's website, I click a button, and then bam, I got money in my checking account. That's what a line of credit should do for you. Okay, and so let's go ahead and do this. Uh, let's do the two requirements. Number one is the budget. You see, I kind of done this for the average American side. And then number two, we got to have our line of credit as our main operating account, and we're just going to assume we have access to a 15 grand line of credit at 15% interest rate. So something like this right here, 15 grand, around 14.99%, practically 15 grand. And then we're going to use this as our main operating account. So the average American uses their checking account as their main operating account, whereas when we do velocity banking, we're going to have the same income, but we're going to make sure our savings is zero after every single month. Okay. And instead of having savings, we're going to have something similar, a similar concept called cash flow, right? Called cash flow, but after the end of every single month, our savings should be zero. Okay, our savings should be zero. So, how do we increase this cash flow number without making more money? We'll simply move some debt to increase our cash flow here. So let's move these two credit cards, $13,000 right here. And what does that do in the first month? Well, it increases our cash flow because this goes to zero and zero without making more income, right? And what's the actual velocity banking strategy? It's your entire paycheck into the line of credit and then expenses out of the line of credit, right? That's basically the strategy. And then after every single month, the balance should go down by this cash flow plus some interest. And let's go ahead and do it, right? So we're gonna do this, calculate the next month, calculate the next month's balance, which is the previous month's balance plus the previous month's interest, minus our cash flow, which is 1926.33. And then we're going to go ahead, right, and take the average daily balance, multiply it by the interest rate, zero point 0.1, or I'm sorry, 0.15, and then divide by 12, right? Divide by 12. Okay. So now I got to do is just copy and paste, and well, blam, in 8 months, it's all good. All paid off, right? Because our cash flow is basically used to pay off the debt. So 8 months, 13 grand, so easy within a year. Okay. So 8 months, 13K. That's our milestone. And then next, we got to tackle the auto loan, right? What's right? Auto loan, mortgage. Which one do we tackle? Do we tackle the auto loan or do we tackle the mortgage? I would say tackle the auto loan because look at how much payment we get for paying off the auto loan. We get half the mortgage, right? So that's a lot of bang for our buck we get for paying off the auto loan. Whereas we focus on the mortgage, that's like 2 auto loans, right? So we want to focus on the auto loan. So luckily we have this velocity banking calculator. I'm not sorry, not velocity banking, loan calculator that tells us what the balance of the loans are after a certain period of time. And you can see that the current balance is 19 grand. So let's take this 19 grand, right? Well, blam, and move it here, and I'm going to do this, and we can see how much. Hey, you know what? We actually can't move the whole thing to a line of credit because we got a $15,000 balance. Okay, so what we can do is just kind of chop it up into little pieces. We may not want to use the entire credit line. That's okay, and we don't have to, right? So we don't necessarily have to, but normally I would do something like this where what's our income right now? $5,000. I'm going to chop it up into pieces. So I might take, I don't know, um, let's see, $5,000. So give me 1 second. Oopsie, wrong one. So let's start off with this. So minus 5000, right? Actually, is that how you do it? I don't even know. Um, or 14961. So what I would probably do is just subtract 5,000 from here to figure out what the balance is. 5000. This is probably wrong, but so you can see that the balance is 15 grand, right? So probably I would just put $5,000 right here, 5000 here, and then 1 2, and then do another $5,000 here. So 1 2, and again I'm just doing the poor man's version of this calculator, and then another 5 grand probably right here, plus 5000, and then let's go here. All right, so now basically we chopped it up into little pieces, and I probably did this wrong, but the whole point is, let me redo this. What did we start off with? 22,000. Okay, so 22,000. Okay, but the whole point is that we're gonna chop this up into little pieces, and so 5 grand, 5 grand, 5 grand, and then probably 4 grand left, or a little bit more, right? So I move this right here. So we moved it 3 times, and then we probably could put like 8 grand right there. So let me do this. I'll do 8 grand. That's how much is there, and then how long is it going to take us? And so now, when we pay off the entire loan, right, the cash flow increases right here, and so the cash flow is going to be about 2,300, and then we just kind of replace this with 2,300, 2356.79. That's how I would do it if I were to split it up in pieces. Now, again, this is kind of inaccurate because you're still making the monthly payment, so I don't know how quickly it will pay off. But luckily, we have a velocity banking calculator for this. So let me go ahead and open it up. Give me one moment to open up this velocity banking calculator when we're dealing with amortized loans. And there we go. So let's go ahead and switch it up. Oh, I think I don't burp too. All right. So basically, all we got to do with amortized loans is just type in the information from this velocity banking calculator from Renatus. Wink, wink. All right. So let's go ahead here. And how much was the original loan amount? It was 22,000, right? So 22. Actually, let me actually wipe all this off and this one as well. So the original loan balance was 22,000, and then what is the current balance? It is 19,461.96, 19,461.96 at an interest rate of 6.5%, 5 years, and what is the payment amount? 430.46, 430.46, and then the chunk amount, we'll just say $5,000 at 15% interest, and then $5,000 is our income. And what is our expenses? Let me go ahead and calculate that. That's everything except for the loan we're trying to pay off. So let me go ahead and sum that up in my other screen right here. And where's the sum? It's 2643.21. 2643.21. Well, blam, look at that, 0.7 years. That's a lot accurate than I could do it, right? So again, little chunks here. That's probably the most efficient when you're dealing with amortized loans, and we only pay, again, car loan interest is not that much in general. Like you could take a look here, it's about 3 grand at max, and that's because the shorter the length, the less you pay in interest, which is why with the 30-year mortgage you pay so much because it's 30 years, right? So let me go ahead and write this on our velocity banking other sheet right here. Okay, so zero point 0.7 years, so to be equals 8 plus 0.7 times 12. And so that'll be 16.4 months for have the auto loan paid off, and it's 35K, I believe. Okay. And then so now we just do the same thing with the mortgage because the mortgage is the last debt that we pay off. And at 16.4 months, we'll just say 17 months, what's the balance, right? So balance is right here, 17. And then, well, blam, we just copy and paste the figures into the velocity banking calculator. So let me go ahead and set it up here and then change screens, right? And so let's go ahead and do that. And so that will be 200,000. Whoopsie. So $200,000. And then the current balance is 194,047.3. And then this is going to be a 3% interest rate at 30 years. And what's the balance or payment amount? 843.21. And then we just let's take a look at this. Our general expenses are 1,800. Okay, and how long did that take? Whoa, well, blam, 5.6 years. That was pretty easy. And take a look at this, right? So here's the most important thing, and I'm really going to emphasize this, right? You don't want to replace your mortgage because if you replace this mortgage, this 3% mortgage, you only get this itty bitty $843 of cash flow, right? So if we do little chunks, we can have the same effect as pretty much overpaying it and prevents that terrible thing that we call segregation of income. But let me just show you what happens when hold on one second. 194,047.3. When we replace our mortgage with the 15% line of credit, well, blam, we actually pay 83 grand more than if we had just paid it over 30 years. Well, blam, right? So we don't want to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and back to the other sheet right there. So that will be 5.6 years and 5.6 years. So 16.4 plus 5.6 times 12. is it times 12? Yes, times 12. And so that's going to be 83.6, and then 83.6 divided by 12. That's going to be 6.97 years. 6.97 years, and then that's going to be 235K debt free. Less than 7. Again and again, the mortgage took about how long? Let me take a look. I'm losing my 5.6 years to pay off. So you ever listen to like velocity banking channels where it's like, oh, pay off your mortgage in 7 to 10 years? I'm like, give me a break. We're doing probably the calculations wrong. Should be about, and I'm not saying results are typical, but every time I do these calculations, I'll be disappointed that if it's more than 8, right? And maybe because my standards are too high because I paid off mine under 3, but it's good to do these exercises because you know what I like more than a paid off home? Knowledge. Okay. So thanks, Tai Lopez, for inspiring this video. And I probably got to do it a couple more other times to kind of hone it in. Heck, maybe I should just do like a 50 grand ad campaign that Tai Lopez did. I don't know if you knew this or not, but he spent 50 grand on ads, and you know how much he made in return? 100 million. 100 million. Here in my garage. Oh, here's my new Lamborghini. But you know what I like more than materialistic things? Knowledge. You know what I like more than a paid off house? Knowledge. Now, if you're interested in learning and taking classes from Renatus, click the Google form link below. But it is going to cost money, so it's not free. So I just want to make sure that we're all aware of that, because if we pay attention, right? Okay, well, that's it for today. I'm no Tai Lopez. I'm Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So some of you like to call me Cam. Okay, you call me KAM, Cam. Well, have a great day, and we'll speak next time.